All right, so we're finally back here for lecture one for real of Echo Platoon. So it's been a long day. It's been a challenge to get everything here, but I think we're finally good to go. Can everyone hear me all right on the remote side? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Just feel free to stop me as we go along. Okay. All right. So essentially what's going to happen is, I realize no one can see this. Tomorrow we're going to be in a conference room and I'll have an hour to set up so we won't have to deal with such a tiny screen ever. But essentially what's happening, let me just... All right, here we go. So you're basically going to live in 3 different places when it comes to this bootcamp. And if you decide to be a developer, this is where you're going to live for pretty much the rest of your time. You're going to live in 3 places. One of them is going to be the command line, which is that iTerm that you just downloaded. The second one is going to be your text editor, the Sublime Text that you just downloaded. And the third thing is going to be your browser. Those 3 things put together are your integrated development environment, your IDE. So when people say, what's your IDE? It's going to be Sublime, iTerm, and Google Chrome. If you don't use Google Chrome, I'd recommend it. It's a lot faster. There's a lot more stuff built in for developers versus, Firefox or Safari or something like that. Command line and terminal are, for the purposes of our bootcamp, pretty much synonymous. When it comes to things like the terminal, let me just jump over. You can actually do quite a bit of things with it. So I have a little bit of color with mine, as you can see. I have different colors and different words and things like that. And if you want my color scheme, I can share that with you. Basically, it's a bash profile setting that you just copy and paste. And then every single time that you load it up from there on out, it'll look like this. Otherwise, it will look like more or less like Sharif, which is, just black and white. It's kind of hard to see things and so on and so forth. I've seen people have like different colors here. Other people have like icons dancing in the background and things like that. So this is something that's pretty customizable to what you would like. It's a lot harder to delete everything on your computer than you think. So this black box of doom that people quickly X'd out of when you were younger and you didn't know quite as much. This is kind of like the bare bones like entry point into your computer. So instead of going around clicking on things and opening things and deleting things like using a mouse, you can do it all through here. And the importance of doing everything through this the importance of doing everything through the command line is that when it comes to certain computers, like right now everyone has a computer of some sort with a screen. This particular screen, you can move your mouse around and everything is perfect and you can use mice and everything like that. This is not the case all the time. Let's say that you are some sort of new, someone just throw out a company. Just give me a company name.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken probably does not house their own servers, right? They might have a room full of servers, computers, and things like that, but most likely they're going to rent space. Now I'll talk a lot about this a little bit later, but essentially, have people heard of something called Amazon Web Services recently?
Yes.
Yeah. So Amazon Web Services is essentially what it is Amazon, like 10, 15 years ago, they decided to, they basically started doing a lot of e-commerce. And around Black Friday, the holiday time, they found that all of their servers were crashing because the number of people that were making requests, they couldn't keep up. So they built out these huge like warehouses, football fields, like that's how big they are. They filled them up with server farms, like just extra computers to maintain that amount of traffic that they could have during, the holiday season. The issue with that is it's only during the holiday season that it's actually used. So they have to pay for electricity and storage and all that kind of stuff. They still have to pay for all this stuff throughout the entire year, which sucks for them. So what they did is they started renting that space out to other people. So instead of, hey, like if I'm Kentucky Fried Chicken, like do I want to house all of my stuff inside of a giant football field worth of like warehouses, or do I just want to rent a very small subsection of that? So that's what a lot of companies do now. So like KFC probably does it. Target probably has their own, but like a lot of companies, basically they don't have their own infrastructure. They rent from Amazon. When you rent from Amazon, you don't have a screen in front of you because your Amazon server might be in, you know, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Like who knows like where it actually is. But every single time you can do the same thing by double clicking on your screen as you can from this command line. So remember, this command line, you're going to need to use it basically for the rest of your career. It's just a different entry point into your computer. Like you can still like, you know, make folders and create files and things like that, or you can delete them, but it's all going to be done using just your keyboard and not a mouse. And the language that we use to talk to this particular shell right here is called it's called Unix. And no matter what programming language you use professionally after this bootcamp, so we teach Ruby and JavaScript, you may or may not use Ruby or JavaScript ever again. Like I know people who moved on to Java, some people moved on to C or C++ or something like that. No matter what happens, you're gonna need to know Unix commands, which we're gonna cover right now, and Git, which we're gonna cover tomorrow. So let's jump over here. So the command line. There are two different workflows that you can see. On the left here, there's like the non-developer workflow. If I wanted to create a folder or something like that, I can click around and create new folders. I can drag things back and forth. And on the right side, we have a developer workflow. So I'm going to try to do something really quickly. Let's see if I can. I don't know how to do this. All right, let's do something. Can everyone see? Okay, close enough. All right, I'm going to jump over to this next screen right here. I'm going to create a folder called Echo Platoon. I'm going to create one folder for each one of your names, and then inside of there, I'm going to create a file with your favorite ice cream on there, okay? First things first, if I'm going to do it using the non-developer workflow, I'm going to right-click, new folder. I'll call this Echo, and I'll double-click. This is stuff that everyone's pretty much used to, right? I'm going to create a new folder. Actually, I'll just do it for one person. Otherwise, it'll take too long. So I'll do Raymond because he's right in front of me. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to save this inside of Raymond. So I'd go to Desktop, Echo, Raymond, and I'll call this ice cream.txt. What's your favorite ice cream?
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. That's a solid ice cream. I like it. How long do you think that's? Roughly 45 seconds, right? And imagine if I had to do that over and over for every single person. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna do it the same way I just did, but this time instead of doing it through the GUI interface, which is what a non-developer does. So on the left is what a non-developer does. I'm gonna do it using the developer workflow. I'm gonna make this a little bit larger. All right. So first things first. I'm not in the desktop. So I'm at users jyoung. Let's list everything that we have. I'm going to cd into the desktop. I'm going to make a directory called echo2. I'm going to change into echo2. I'm going to make a directory called Daniel. I'm going to cd into Daniel. Daniel, what's your favorite ice cream?
And Cherry Garcia.
Okay. CD into ice cream. Subble. Cherry. I'm just going to do cherry. Now you can kind of see, I was going a little bit slower because I'm tilted this way and all that kind of stuff, but you can see that I'm doing the exact same thing. So if you take a look right here, there's a folder called Echo2 that was created. Inside of Echo2, there's a folder called Daniel. Inside of Daniel, there's a file called icecream.txt. Now I did the same, it's the same workflow as before. I created a folder, inside that had a folder, inside that had a piece, just a text file, right? But one of them was way faster than the other one because I don't have to click around, I don't have to right click, I don't have to save or anything like that. I can make all of these things directly from here. And I'm not deleting my entire computer, I'm not hacking the entire world with this black box of doom, I'm literally just moving and navigating around my computer. That's all I'm really doing right now. All these commands we're going to cover, but I just kind of wanted to demonstrate just the sheer, the difference in terms of speed.
So you even could write words on the text. You can even write what's on the text.
I technically could, yeah.
Do you do like the same thing with a Word file? Like write the contents of it just from. Wow.
Yeah. So there's just two ways of doing things. One of them on the left that you're used to, which is the developer workflow, and the one on the right, which is the non-developer workflow, and the one on the right, which is the developer workflow. So there's a few things that you can do specifically with the command line. You can create folders, create files, remove folders, remove files, move stuff from one area to another. You can do anything that you can do with a mouse in terms of creating files and deleting files and moving folders and stuff like that. It's things you can do with a mouse, you can do with a keyboard. So this is located inside of week 1 under lecture materials called Intro to Rails, and then you'll see this stuff in here. But essentially what this is these are specific actions on the left, what type of file they affect, and then finally what it does all the way at the end. So this first one here is mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory. So this mkdir affects folders. So what does it do? It creates a new folder. So if I wanted to create a new folder called, Sharif, I would do mkdir space Sharif, and that would create a new folder named Sharif. Touch is the same thing as dir, except that this applies to files rather than folders. So if I wanted to create a new file, I would do touch and then whatever the name of the file is. If I want to remove a directory, it's rmdir or rm space -rf. This is recursively remove everything. RM removes a file, ls lists everything, and cd changes which directory that you are in. I'm going to pause real quick. Are there any questions?
So would these commands work prior to the homebrew and all the gems and all the?
It still works without it, yeah.
Okay.
So to create a new file, you just do touch space and then say your file name was right.
Yeah, exactly. So let's continue on, and then we'll try an exercise together, and you actually have some work on this today. A lot of this is just rote memorization. It's nothing. I'm not magical. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I know I'm kind of like flying on the keyboard and stuff like that, but it's just memorization. How much have you typed it in? I can't fire a firearm to save my life. Like I went to this one shooting range where it's like 25 feet away. I couldn't even hit the target. It was bad.
I'll teach you.
Okay. So it's like, that's just like practice over and over again, right? And similarly here, it's like I'm moving quickly because I've practiced it for, 4 years at this point. So there's other important commands that you're going to need to know as well. So these are a list of some of the important commands. Other ones include PWD. PWD stands for print working directory. Basically, it's where am I right now? So it's kind of like if I'm in a folder, if I've like CD'd into a folder, CD stands for
change directory.
All right, what does that do?
Changes what file you're in.
Exactly, it changes what folder that you're in. Yeah. So PWD is print working directory. Where am I right now? Where am I at this moment? So yeah, let's try a few things. I'm gonna call this mob programming, so you can just yell this out at me as we go along. All right, I want to start over. I actually do want to go, I want to practice this over and over again until we get this drilled into our heads. So if it's a little bit repetitive, forgive me, but it sucks. All right, so I want to change out of this directory. So my setup right now looks a little something like this. I'm at the desktop, I'm at Echo 2, and I'm at Daniel. Okay, I want to go all the way out to the desktop. So I want to change out of where I am currently, and I want to get out to the desktop. How do I move out 2 levels?
Charlie Delta.
What's that? Charlie Delta, / anything else?
Another.
No, the .. should move you back twice.
Okay. All right, there we go. And again, like I will send my thing out to everybody so that everyone can also have this, because I'm pretty sure the default one doesn't have the colors and stuff like that. So I'm out here. I want to remove Echo, and I want to remove Echo 2. You can kind of see it right here. I have Echo and Echo 2. I don't like them. I want to start over. How do I remove a directory?
RM.
Anything else?
Space dash FR.
FR?
Or not FR. How about RF?
RF, yep. No, she flipped the letters around.
Oh,
So it's RM space dash RF. The RM stands for remove, dash RF is a little flag that says recursively force. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove,
Yeah, what does recursively force?
it means I'm going to remove everything recursively. Oh, I'm not going to go into recursion yet. No, actually, you kind of covered recursion, right? No, okay. It basically means I'm going to keep deleting things until there's nothing left to delete. And then, so it basically says like, if I have a folder with like 50 folders inside of it, I'm just going to keep deleting everything inside of it until there's nothing left, and then I'm done. Yeah. So I'm going to rm-rf. How do I remove echo 2? Like, what's the next thing that I type in?
Type in echo 2.
Yep. The name of what's coming in next. And just like that, I don't know if you saw it, it was real quick, but it disappeared. It's gone now. Now I want to get rid of echo as well. So I'm going to do same thing, rm space dash rf. Now the little cool thing I want to teach everyone is I'm just going to type in one letter, E. So if I press E and tab, it will auto-complete based on like whatever is left over. So if you take a look at all of my things over here, I have, personal, code, Platoon, curriculum, Newegg, like none of my folders or files start with an E. So when I type in the first letter E and I press tab, it auto-completes everything for me, so I don't have to type in everything all the time. Just a little bit of it just makes it a little bit easier. So I remove it, and everything is gone. Now I'm going to create a new directory. What's the command to create a new directory?
mkdir.
What does mkdir stand for?
Make directory.
Make directory. I'm going to call this echo Platoon. All right, so I've created the thing. You can kind of see it pop up real quickly down here on the right. I want to start creating like folders and files and things like that. So how do I get from desktop into Echo Platoon?
Change to CD.
CD. Anything else?
Space.
Mhm.
Echo dash Platoon.
Okay. So now I'm no longer inside of desktop here, but I'm actually inside of Echo Platoon. Next thing, I want to make a directory for each student. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly. What was the command again?
mkdir.
Okay, let's do. Okay, mkdir for Daniel, mkdir for Raymond.
You have to do them individually.
That's a great question. What do you think? Should we just try it?
Like, what happens if you just put like one name after the other and just spaces in between? Is that enough?
Let's try it. Sarah, let's try 3 just for now. Let's list everything out. How do we list everything?
LS.
All right, it looks like I don't have to do individual ones. I can just chain them together. I like that. All right.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be weird.
No, that's totally fine. No, that's that. You actually saved me a bunch of time. mkdir for Michael. Who else is on the call? Kimberly.
Sarah.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know Kelsey is getting her Mac fixed. So if we list everything, everything looks good. All right, so we've created a folder. We've created 8 subfolders underneath that. We've listed everything. Let's make one more extra student called not a student. Okay. If I list everything, I have all 8 of you, and then I have not a student. How do I remove this not a student?
RM dash
Cool. Not a student. Cool. Now I want to change into each person. Let's just do this for 4. It's going to take too long. Let's just do it for the first 4. So, Aaron, you're up first. How do I change into Aaron's directory?
CAARON.
Cool. All right. How do I make a file?
Touch.
Okay. I'll call this ic.txt, ice cream. Okay. Now, how do I open something using Sublime?
you're gonna do what is it? You got me. I gotta go back.
This mob program, you can call it out.
Subble.
Subble. Now I can do subble space dot, which opens everything, or I can do subble and then one specific file. I'm going to do space dot just to get it going, so you can kind of see it opens it up in Sublime. And your favorite ice cream is
Rocky Road.
Rocky.
Or chocolate.
Too late. I've already started typing. All right. So now we have Aaron. Aaron has a folder called. We have a folder called Aaron, and inside of there we can see that there's a file called ic.txt. Let's do this for 2 more people. How do I go back? I want to go into Leanna's directory.
CD, he lives like three dots.
I'm not doing 3 dots because I'm
2 dot.
CD backslash.
2 dots.
2 dots.
Okay. All right. So I moved out from Aaron out to Echo Platoon, and now I want to go change into Leanna. So CD into Leanna. Again, what was the command to create a new file?
Touch.
ic.txt. I'm going to subble ic.txt. All right. And Leanna, your favorite?
Peanut butter chocolate.
Peanut butter and chocolate. All right. Cool. So if I list everything inside of here, I can see that inside the Leanna folder, there's also a new file called ic.txt. Now I want to combine this. I want to change out one level, and I want to go into, let's go into Kimberly. So I want to combine these 2 commands because I'm like changing out one directory and then I'm changing into Leanna. I'm a lazy programmer. I want to make this all into one command. How do I do that? I'll get you started.
Wait, what are we trying to do again?
I'm trying to CD out from Leanna up to Echo Platoon and then back into Kimberly. All in one line.
So the dot and then Kimberly?
Like that?
No, .. / Kimberly.
Yep. All right. So in one command, I've changed out one directory. I've gone up, then I've changed, and then inside of there was a Kimberly directory. And then same thing again. I'm just going to touch ic.txt, subble, and then Kimberly, your favorite.
I'm in Italy, so it's going to be pistachio gelato.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know how to spell pistachio. That's okay.
That's pretty much the way they spell it.
Okay.
Gelato is really good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I learned today it is not the season for it, though.
It's not.
I asked.
What is the difference between ice cream and gelato, actually?
I don't know. I don't know. Everything is better here. That's all I know.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give that one to you.
Can somebody mute her? I don't want to hear about Italy anymore. Thank you very much.
All right. So we're going to have a challenge today called terminal commands that I'm going to kind of release you to do in a little bit, just a second. All you have to really do is just create a text file for me and then just tell me what it is, like what the answer actually is going to be. Next, let's talk real quickly about this, this Sublime Text thing here. So Sublime Text is basically a text editor. And as I was kind of talking about it this morning, a text editor is essentially just a place to write code. That's all it is. It's a place to edit text. That's really what it is. You're actually pretty proficient in this already. So if you've ever used Microsoft Word or something like that, that's an example of a text editor. But it's not a text editor for code. It's a text editor for written English. So if you've ever used it to like write term papers or pulled an all-nighter or something and you had to write something, or you had to write a letter using Microsoft Word, you've actually already used a text editor. But it all has things built in like font size, margins, tab sizes, and things of that nature. Those are things that are built in. Sublime Text you can kind of think of as like a very, very bare bones kind of text editor. It has line numbers to keep track of different things for you. It has highlighting for different like syntaxes. So it's like if I'm writing in JavaScript, different things are highlighted than when I'm writing in Ruby. This is literally just a place to edit text. And as I said, Sublime Text is a free editor, but it will bother you every 20 minutes to buy their software. So it's unlimited free forever. So you can use it as much as you want. You're just gonna have to press cancel instead of purchase quite a bit. It's $70, and you can kind of think of yourselves as like modern day craftsmen, more or less. So modern day craftsmen being like, you want to make sure your tools are sharp and up to date all the time. So you can just, if you want to pay $70 for it because you know that this is what you want to do in the future, I would say it's a worthwhile investment. But if not, it's okay just to keep it free for this whole time. An open source alternative to it is something called iTerm. You actually used this for Learn already. So all the shortcuts that you may or may not have learned is actually already there. So iTerm is just it's an open source type of software. Does anyone know the difference between open and closed source software?
Open source, you can it allows for folks to get the source code and manipulate it.
That's correct. Yeah. What's closed source then?
Protected.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically, all the code that's being used to write this particular piece of software, iTerm, or any open source software, is free and available to everyone. They say that it's like we don't charge any money to anybody ever. An example of closed source software is like Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is completely closed source. You have to pay a license in order to use it. Or Adobe Photoshop. Those are proprietary. That's proprietary information. You have to pay money to use their software. And on top of that, you can't see what the source code looks like. iTerm is an open source software. Sublime is a closed source software. iTerm is totally okay to use if you want to use that as well. There's a bunch of shortcuts I've also shared with you. If you take a look over here.
Quick question, is Regit one as well?
I've actually never heard of that one. I guess for our purposes, I would recommend using Sublime or iTerm because that's something I can help with the quickest. If you really want to try to learn Vim, that's totally on you. But I can help with that one as well. So those are the 3 text editors I know. So there's a lot of shortcuts. I would bookmark this particular page. Like you can cut an entire line, you can paste an entire line afterwards, and you can move lines of code up and down and things of that nature. So it's quite intensive and quite exhaustive. You can kind of see there's so many different shortcuts. You're not going to remotely use all of these. I probably only use 5 or 6 of them, but it helps you develop a lot faster. Okay, any questions on just anything so far?
Those are the shortcuts you use with which program?
So these shortcuts are for Sublime, and they also work on iTerm. Those two share the same shortcuts. Cool. All right, I think that might actually do it for us for right now. We have 3 challenges for today. I think if we've set up everything correctly, then you can start actually hacking away at this. So there's 3 challenges. One of them is called terminal commands. It's basically like we're going to make files, delete files, create folders, delete folders, and then at the end everything should look pretty good. And then there's one called 99 bottles in JavaScript. So this is going to be testing basically how well can you script algorithms. The first 2 weeks are entirely based on scripting algorithms. So do you know if-else logic? Do you know how to use counters? Do you know how to use counters being like loops, like up until a certain number of times something has been done? Do you know like if this, else that kind of stuff? Do you know how to write a function really? So when you're finished with 99 bottles, just let me know. And then the final one is called def grandma. I would save def grandma for the last one because this is very, very difficult. I have had 1 student finish it in the first day. But every other student has not actually finished it. We'll cover anything any questions you may have on challenges, we will cover the morning after, not the day of. Sound good? Again, this is more or less how I'm gonna try to get going. So in the morning, we'll come in, we'll review a problem or 2, we'll go over the lecture topics for the day, and then my goal is to be finished by around 11:30 so that you all have the rest of the day to work because like this, in this particular field, learning comes by doing. So my talking at you is not going to really be as beneficial as you working on your own.
I'd like to say one thing about
Yes.
99 bottles. A key thing there too is how efficiently can you get that string of text together, because it changes a few times.
Mhm.
And you don't want to type it out the full stanza each time, right?
Yep. Sound good? All right. Today, because we don't really know how to pair terribly well yet, we're going to work by ourselves. And tomorrow we're going to cover pair programming, we're going to cover Git, and then some JavaScript fundamentals just to catch everybody up. Sound good?
How are we
3 o'clock
either
right now.
submitting the work or?
Sorry.
How are we doing the work or submitting the work? What's the way of doing that?
Sure. That is a great question, which I did not. Okay. All right. So all of your code is up here on beautiful GitHub. And the way that we're going to get it is we're going to click this green link right here that says clone or download. Basically, what this is going to do is it's going to download it from github.com and bring it onto your computer. I'm going to go over more into how to actually bring code, like all the Git commands tomorrow and what they do. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to hit this green button for clone or download. Click this to copy it to your clipboard. And if all goes well, you can actually test that that we did everything correctly. All we do is do git space clone and then paste it here. And then at this point, I've cloned down, I've downloaded it from the internet. There's a folder called def grandma. If I list everything out, you can kind of see that in addition to the ice cream that we created for Kimberly a little bit earlier, there's also a def grandma folder. I'm going to cd into def grandma, open everything up in Sublime, subl space dot, and then we're going to solve the challenge. So the README has all of the things that you're going to need. You don't need to worry about uploading this yet. Just clone it down, download it, and then work on the challenge. Tomorrow we will learn about how to push. Otherwise, it's going to be too much stuff for one day.
So how do they know their code is working?
It's in the README. Yeah. Anything else?
What was the command you used to clear your terminal?
Command K.
Oh, Command K.
Command K, that's CMDK.
No. Yeah, CMDK.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
And then, sorry, one more question for the Unix exercise. That it should we just?
You can just Slack that to me, like what the answer is.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Again, it's day one, so it's there's a lot of things that I'm assuming that people don't know quite yet. So it's it gets better with a rhythm once we learn what Git is tomorrow. Cool. Okay. Anything else? All right, let's get to it. I think for everyone, if you want to go back up, everyone in person, if you want to clone it down up here, you can actually work on it upstairs because you don't need an internet connect. Actually, you do in order to Google things. Yeah. If you want to stay in here, that's fine. If you want to go back up to 3, that's also okay. If you want to go up to 5, that's also okay. But yeah.
Yeah, I can do a hotspot. I can go upstairs with my phone.
We tried that a little early. It's not fast enough to keep up with the amount of people on it. That's all.
We can't really go up there, right? There's no internet.
You can go up to 5. Yeah, 5 is cooler. That's all. All right, any questions remote? Good? Okay, good luck.
Are you letting us go from here?
What's that?
Are you letting us go? Like what, I mean, should we just talk through Slack then if we need anything?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So everyone can, you can hang up if you'd like. During the regular days, I'm gonna have one machine just like pointed at the classroom so that everyone can see everyone at all times. But yeah, for right now, because I don't have, for today, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
Cool, all right, let's get to it. Those 3 challenges, and that's all we had planned for today. So remote, we'll see you tomorrow. You can contact me via Slack if you have any questions. Cool, see you.